Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Football Friday Live Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. Sean Higgs, Victor King, Marc Lawrence on his way. Welcome on into the show. Before we get into everything, hit the like button here on the YouTube channel. Be part of the Winner Circle YouTube family. Like, subscribe, notification bells on so you know each and every day. We do a live show on Fridays. I do one again on Monday nights, but plenty of free content videos. Me, Doug Upstone, Matt Fargo, Brian Miller, Chip Trimbus. Chip has Jim Feist, Scott Pritchard, and Paul Bovey videos going off over the weekends with NFL, college football. We got you covered here with plenty of free content. But for premium content, we want to win here on Football Friday. 25 and 15, by the way, Victor King, with our Football Friday picks.
All right.
Not heavy. I don't know. Maybe in the fake world of TikTok and IG, that's a terrible record. But in the real world of sports betting, you're making money watching our Football Friday shows. Now, if you head to gamblersWORLD.net, our sponsor, that's where all of our premium top plays can be found. Victor's got a top college football triple play up for Saturday. I got games for the night championship action tomorrow, NFL Sunday, covering up all the NFL, college football, college hoops, NBA, whatever you want. We have a leaderboard there. We also have a special, the college football weekend bonanza. Get both Friday and Saturday, all the games, whenever somebody has out. Just $79. Not a bad little play there. Or I don't know, probably a little smarter one would be a 3-day pass. Now, our 3 730 packages are guaranteed. We show you a profit over that time, or we credit you back whatever daily pass you had there. But for a championship weekend and NFL, why not do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday 3-day pass? Just makes sense to me. And we have our December Christmas sale up, $199 NFL end of the football season. If you just want NFL, we got you covered there as well. We do it all here. We got it all. And next week, I think, starts up, what's today? The 6th. So I guess it'll be next week sometime. Maybe not. Maybe a week after. The 12 days of Christmas, Victor. We'll be coming with daily specials every single day.
Nice.
And speaking of getting a early Christmas present, look at this. Marc Lawrence showing up with us. There he is. Merry Christmas. We got an early Christmas gift. Marc comes in.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, guys. Hope everything's well. Hope Thanksgiving was good as well, too.
Not too bad. You can see I'm a little congested the last week or so. So I told Victor before the show started, I said, hey, if you guys are talking, I dip out and my screen just goes blank and muted. It's because I'm sneezing or gagging and I have to drink my water off air. So I'll be here in spirit for that time. But cool. I'm good for talking about 15 minutes and then I get choppy. So, well, listen, I don't talk 15 minutes straight here anyway because you guys are with me. We do a good job covering everything. Marc, I'll say we're 25 and 15 with the Football Friday. We got 3 games up for this weekend. But, I want to talk about the college football playoff and your thoughts on it. I hate it. We've talked about it before. I can't believe that Alabama's going to get in here. It's just frustrating that you get 3 lost teams. I don't care. Well, they're good. They lost 3 times. I don't think they're a good team. I don't care who you lost to. If you're a good team, you would have beat one of the 3 teams. No, you want a 3-loss team in here?
I don't think a 3-loss team deserves to be in the college football playoff. No, there's too many other teams that have better records and have been striving for more than 3 losses and have accomplished that. Just because you're Alabama or just because you reside in the SEC, I don't think that gives you a pass. And we can also make cases for a lot of those other teams. Unfortunately, that's the possibility of what we're looking at if SMU loses here this Saturday. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but something needs to change if Alabama gets into the playoffs.
They're saying well, nothing could change because we're only moving the teams that are playing, right? That was what the committee said. Nobody's going to move up. Miami can't move up even though their 2 losses were to a ranked team on the road and to a team that just took Georgia to 8 overtimes on the road. Those don't count. So they can't move up. They're officially out of it. Why would SMU, or in this case, Boise or Union, why would they even play?
Right.
We're not playing.
You're being penalized for playing in your championship game. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and it's weird because I remember 20 years ago, TCU couldn't get in because the Big 12 didn't have a championship game. Remember that? They don't have a championship game. If you got to be in the championship game, it means something. Can't play the whole season, have it mean nothing. Well, what the heck are you telling the teams that are in here now?
It's not a good message. It's not a good vibe. Victor, what's your thought on this whole match?
Well, our Hurricanes down here, we definitely have an axe to grind. Sean mentioned those 2 difficult road losses against ranked teams. And now we're shut out of the playoff. Basically, you know what that means now? That Miami will be relegated to a minor bowl game, and Cam Ward will not play in that game either. He's going to be an NFL quarterback. So, not only do they not get in the playoff, but their best players won't be playing in their second-tier bowl game either.
The Pop. I think they're slated for the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yeah, Pop-Tart Bowl, right?
The dancing Pop-Tart. I love it. That's a funny, but really, Miami. And I'm a Kane guy, and I get it. We had some could have lost to Virginia Tech, Cal. We had some bad ones, but we didn't lose those games. And you lost to ranked teams.
Right.
Personally, I think there's another better 3-loss team out than Alabama is, but they don't carry Alabama's name. To me, that's Ole Miss in the Southeast Conference. If you look at their body of work this year, they're the only team in college football that's outgained or won the stats in every football game they played this year. They've pushed people all around the football playing field here. They didn't get to play Alabama. I think if they had this, we wouldn't be talking about this conversation. But they're going to get pushed out here as well. So it's a total mess. I mean, you hate to see this because we open this thing up to avoid these situations.
Right.
They beat Georgia by 18 points?
Yep.
But the bad loss was a Kentucky loss. The Kentucky loss was bad. And the fact that they'll come off a bye week and get trucked by Florida is not a good look, too, by
No, it's not. There's some circumstances there where, the condition of Florida then as opposed to before and everything and so forth and whatnot. But you can never make excuses for losses because they come with the territory. It's just that you can't make excuses for Alabama's losses if you're going to allow them in here as a 3-win team. You just can't do it.
And how about we know what you're saying there. We have Texas. We'll be talking about this. Some people bring it up in the chat here. Favored here over Georgia. Georgia beat them by 15. This is the only ranked team Texas played, and they lost to them. And yet they're an automatic. Even if they lose here, they're automatically in. How are they automatically in with their losses? They haven't beat a ranked team.
Well, you know what's amazing to me is
team that's ranked now. I should say team that's ranked now.
I know there's some revenge for Texas in this football game from their only loss, but Texas can lose this football game and still make the playoffs. If Georgia loses this football game, they're not going to make the playoffs.
Right.
I think there's more incentives on the other side in this game. Pardon me?
I think they're not going to move Georgia.
You think if Georgia loses, they're not going to move?
They lose too?
Oh, they won't move them out. They'll slide them back into rankings, but they won't kick them out of they're still one of the 12 best teams. They'll keep them in there.
Where are they in the rankings? They'd be a 3-loss team like Alabama would be.
Right.
So they're going to put Alabama in over them because Alabama's already in. So who's coming in next? Miami? Who's the team coming in?
Well,
because they already have the Arizona State Iowa winner in there, right? That one's already in there based on who would that come.
Yeah, well, that has to be. That's a Big 12 champion, right?
Right. Guys, the unique thing that I've noticed about the conference championship weekend is take a look at the 9 games. How many big point spreads do you see in those 9 games? How about 0? The highest favorite of championship weekend is a 5.5 point favorite. Now, this kind of tells me something. Every game is expected to be close. But for those of us who like playing exotics, I experimented with this last night. I don't do it very often. I just wanted to bounce it off you guys to see what you think. But again, with every single game under 6 points as far as the spread goes, it increases the chance of one or even more of these games going into overtime. Right? The spreads are so low.
You would think so, yeah.
Odds are higher that the games or a couple might go into overtime. So I played this last night, guys, on my Hard Rock sports betting app. Again, I'm just throwing it out there. It was for experimental purposes. But I took every single one of those 9 conference championship games, and I played overtime, yes, in all 9 of those games. Now, I didn't parlay it. I threw it in a round robin, which is a series of 2-team parlays.
2 3-team parlays, right?
Right. So with 9 games, it comes out to 36 individual small little parlays. And while I'm not recommending our watchers to do it, it's an interesting thing here that obviously if no games go into overtime, we're screwed. We lose the whatever. In my case, it was $108. If one game goes into overtime, you're not going to win anything. But if 2 or more of these 9 games end up going into overtime, and again, the point spreads are within 6 points in every single game, that's when the payoff really starts coming through for you. Again, I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on that, but I took all 9 games. I played overtime in all 9 games, and I played it in a round robin of 36 2-team parlays. What do you think?
I like the idea. I mean, I think you hit on it. The point, the concept is excellent. Just the fact that we've got short favorites in every football game.
Right.
Yeah.
And, short favorites would obviously be more of a likely chance to go to overtime, teams with short favorites, than opposed to the 12, 13, 14-point favorites. So you're giving yourself an extra edge there doing just that. And the other side of the coin is these are huge games of importance. For the most part, both teams bring good defenses because that's what got them there. And they know each other quite well because they played the entire conference schedule. So I think there's a good chance that these could be chess matches this weekend. And if they're chess matches, I think you're onto the right thing there, Victor.
And every team that's involved this weekend has played overtime games within the last 2 seasons as well. Every single team.
Wow. Nice. Very nice.
And, I mean, the biggest line is about 5.5 in the ULL game, probably too, right?
Right. Yep.
I mean,
very good point. That's a beauty.
Well,
I like that.
I'm not going to be shocked if you get 3 here. 3 seems about right, I think.
Yeah. Can we get 2 or maybe even 3 overtime games? That would be cool.
I mean, the Western Kentucky game just tonight could go that route. I mean, They needed a 50-yarder just to squeak by here last time. The other game was 2017 last year.
Were any of the same season revenge rematches that we have this week, were they close call losses? I know Georgia beat Texas, I think, by 14.
Right, 30-15 was the score of that game, right?
Right. And we've got, I think, 2 other teams that I think are involved in. Let me look at my workbook here.
Right.
2 other teams. I'm sorry?
UNLV and Boise, they played in the regular season, right?
Yeah, and how did that fare?
And that was a close game, wasn't it? Yeah, let me see here. Yeah.
Western Kentucky just played last week. They beat Jacksonville State on the last-second field goal.
Right.
Yeah, so that there's a 1-score, quite possible overtime football game. Boise, I think, beat UNLV by a little bit more than a 1-score margin, I believe. No, they didn't. They beat them by 5. So
there you go.
There's a 1-score game there as well. So they know each other. They've waltzed before. Let them waltz again.
If you got a couple $100 you feel like blowing, give it a try. It could pay out again if 2 or more of those games go into overtime. Particularly, also forget the what we say about unders in college football going to that extra period or so is that's where unders go to die is college football overtime as well. You could tell that from that Georgia Tech game last week, huh? How many extra periods were actually in that game? Was it 7? Was it 8?
8. But the whole 2-point, like if they would have went for 7s, if there was 8 touchdowns, I think it probably would have ended sooner. Can we bring that back, please?
College football again needs to retweak their overtime rules again. They've got to do it. It's just injury concerns when you have multiple overtimes like that. The fatigue for the next game down the road. But I do think that they need to once again overhaul or tweak their overtime rules.
Absolutely. You can't go into an overtime and let the winner of that game be the team that was better in 2-point conversions.
Right.
Come on.
You want to do that after like a back and forth like you do a regular overtime, then throw that in there for a mix. That's fine. But to just do it indefinitely until somebody gets the 2-point conversion?
Well, let's add up the time that it took to play those 8 overtimes. And had they just played the football games like they're played on the field, where you go into overtime, and just like the Baltimore Colts and Alamici and going way back when against the Giants, whoever scores wins the game. You don't stop, make rules, make special changes and so forth and whatnot. You continue until somebody scores first in that overtime. I think that's simple, and I think it also throws all this garbage right out the window.
Yeah.
It makes it. I mean, but even the NFL. Well, if you score a field goal, the other team doesn't get a shot. So I mean, that's like the Josh Allen rule because you didn't get a shot in the playoffs, or Mahomes or whoever. No, sorry. How about this? How about if your defense made a stop? Maybe you would have got a shot to come on the field.
Yeah.
Make a stop. You don't have to worry about overtime.
Yep.
I think that's pretty simple.
There's a lot that needs to be done with overtime rules on both sides, NFL and college football, unquestionably.
That's enough of us ranting about their ridiculous playoff, which they're going to make it 2 more teams pretty soon. But we got a couple NFL teams here. One's clinched a playoff spot, Mark. Your Buffalo Bills, 3.5-point favorite here on the road, total 4.5 against the Rams. They came back, Rams were down early, shut out. I think one of the rare times they were shut out under McVay in the first half. But the Bills off a really good performance on Sunday night. Are we really shocked there, though? I mean, off a bye week, a banged-up Niners team that's going nowhere. I think the Niners lose this week, to be honest with you, to the Bears. But Buffalo, 3.5. I think this looks short. They got Detroit on deck. I know they're both kind of in their spots, but possible Super Bowl preview next week for them. 3.5 looks low to me.
Well, some people, like they say, the line's telling me something, okay? And if it's that short, it's there for a reason. Break Buffalo down and see what they've done. These 6 straight games scoring 30 or more points.
Yeah.
They've got the Detroit Lions up next, which might be a little bit more of an important game to them, at least, from a cojones standpoint. And then they close the season out with 3 consecutive division contests in a row. Now you're going to put them out there and lay points on the road cross country into a team that needs this game like blood to stay alive. I think they're like 11th in the NFC playoff seedings right now. And Buffalo is holding this big fat, it's either 3 or 4 game lead in the NFC or AFC East. I think this is a terrible spot for Buffalo to be in this particular week here. I think there's an upset in the making here.
I agree. So Mark's coming in on the Rams as a dog.
Yes.
No shocker there. And yeah, my thought is accurate. So the number automatically is like, okay, that looks low. Bills, fat, huge win, and now they got these guys in between a bigger matchup. Victor, thoughts?
I won't argue it, that's for sure. If you do want to consider a potential over in the game, I may consider Buffalo over their team total. I think it's come down from 27 to 26.5. And, Mark just mentioned what this historic run that the Bills are on is that they've scored 30 or more points now in each of their last 6 games. They did it last week, scoring 35 points in a blizzard against a decent 49ers defense. And now they're in a more controlled, easy indoor environment, playing there in SoFi Stadium in LA. So I might consider Buffalo over their team total, thinking that maybe they win 27-24, 27-23. Maybe even the Rams come out and win in an upset in a 27-26 type shootout situation. But I might consider Buffalo over their team total.
All right, so Victor kind of likes the team total there, the way Buffalo's been playing. I don't really hate that because I think this game will probably play until like the 50 point. For the Rams to win, they gotta score. So you think it's going to be a higher scoring. So I'd agree with that. But again, for this show, 25-15 here on Football Fridays. Marc Lawrence likes the Rams plus 3.5. Again, this is Mark's free pick. Head over to gamblersworld.net for his premium stuff, college football, NFL, already posted packages for this weekend. Go get the 3-day pass, folks. Why not? 3-day pass for Mark. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, get them all. That's the way you should do it. Now, Victor, you always get stuck with a Tampa Bay squad most of the time. So Vegas coming to town, 6.5-point doggies, total of 46. Tampa Bay, I thought the Bears had some tough losses this year, right? We can go through the Bears schedule and be like, oh my goodness, terrible, terrible, terrible. Raiders last week between them missed field goals and taking a snap off of your forehead. I thought the Raiders were going to be a bad team. That's about as bad as a way to go down against a rival. Like, is that like a flat soul stealer or what with that one? I kind of like Tampa just keeps on winning down there. You guys got to be happy with Tampa. The Rays you're probably upset about with Tampa Bay Rays. They're going to be probably selling off pieces because they're playing in a minor league stadium. But Tampa, let's go. Let's win that NFC South, baby. Let's go.
Let's not forget that in that game, that Friday game, the Raiders did outstat the Chiefs by over 100 yards.
Yes.
Against an outstanding Kansas City defense. The Raiders had their best offensive showing of the season. And I'm liking that, and I'm liking the over in this game at 46. There's even a couple of 46 and a halves out there, the Raiders and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Now, the aspect of this game in which it really triggers a buy sign on the over for me is the fact that this is the lone game this week in the NFL where you got one of these West Coast teams traveling east and playing in a 1 o'clock Sunday game. So that's basically for these West Coast teams that have their home games in a West time zone. It means the Raiders are playing a game at 10 a.m. body clock time.
Yes.
And we've talked about these games numerous times in our Marc Lawrence Against the Spread podcast. It's the first time we've had a chance to talk about it here on the gamblersworld.net podcast. And these games are notoriously for being high scoring when that West Coast team is a road underdog in these games. For some strange reason, when the West Coast team is the perceived better team or their favorite on the road, the games go under at a high percentage. But when they are the perceived worst team, as the Raiders are against Tampa, and they're road underdogs, they do tend to go over the total at a higher percentage. Wacky things happen in these weird body clock games. But here, this is just from the database here. Just in the last 12 months, these West Coast games have gone 9-1 to the over, when the over-under line is in the range of 37 to 51 points. The Raiders have already traveled east 3 times this season and played in these same type of games. All 3 of those games ended up going over the total.
Well,
Remember, they played the Ravens, went over the total. Came east, played the Bengals, went over the total. I forgot who the third team was. All 3 of them have gone over the total. And what I like about this is that it may not show up yet in terms of overall points, but the Raiders have found some juice now that Scott Turner is their offensive coordinator. And I expect him to elevate that unit even more. If this was a Gardner Minshew game, I wouldn't want any part of it, but it's not. I do think that Aiden O'Connell is the better quarterback. 9.7 yards per attempt last week, a 116.4 quarterback rating, 340 yards passing against an outstanding defense. I think the Raiders actually even have a shot of winning this game outright. But for our purposes, guys, we're playing over the total. Raiders, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know what you're getting in Tampa. Baker Mayfield's having a career season. Mike Evans back. They got major players back last week in that win over Carolina. But for us guys, we're going over. It's a west to east weird body clock game, and we're playing the Raiders and the Bucks over the 46.
Nice.
Over 46.5 here for Victor. And again, you mentioned their games. Baltimore, 26-23. Cincinnati, 41-24. And in the back-to-back spot on the road there, they played Miami next, 34-19 loser there.
All 3 over,
yeah. And Tampa Bay, man, Minshew. Baker, you guys are familiar with his game. He wins games down here. Bucky Irvin's kind of taking a little spot down here for them. I like the Tampa Bay team.
Yeah.
Mark, your thoughts on this game?
Well, I agree with Victor. I think this is a good shot for the Raiders to possibly even win this football game straight up. Tampa's coming off of some war horse type like football games. And then when you bring an opponent in that you're sort of expected to play maybe down to their level or you're not get pumped up for, you could see Tampa playing down to the Raiders level in a football game like this. He brings out some great points here. And yes, Mayfield is having a career type year. It doesn't last every game. And if it doesn't, it usually busts in games just like this. I think this is a great spot for Vegas to get in here and steal the money. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, they came out of their bye week, beat the Giants on the road, which is good. Bye week come out, beat a bad team. But then they were in a dogfight last week versus Carolina, pulled out a miracle win. Why not? Little flat spot here. You're home, and then you're hitting the road. You got the Chargers. You got 2 road games coming up next. So I like the points here as well. But I'll probably be jumping on the over now, thanks to Victor's take here on the over. Over 46.5 official show pick, Victor King. Again, 25-15 here with our video picks. Mark, Rams plus 3.5. Victor over 46.5. Free picks here, gamblersworld.net for the premium action. Whether you want a day pass for $69.99, go get it. The college football bonanza, $79 for Friday and Saturday. Get every cappers, whoever you pick, all their college football for the next 2 days. You got your end of football NFL for a season pass. Well, that was a little tongue-tied there. It should be NFL end of season pass for $199. And, of course, the 3, 7, and 30-day packages all guaranteed. But, again, these are the free ones here. Go support the channel. Support your favorite capper at gamblersworld.net. And, more importantly, hit the like button. You filthy animals. That's a quote from a movie. I'm not calling you animals. I'm doing a little Home Alone there, folks.
Yeah, I understand exactly. Hey, Sean,
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to pull up. We only one comment so far. I guess people are Christmas shopping. Nobody's in on a Friday, but Link, Penn State 0-9 last 9 games as an underdog.
That's true.
Makes perfect sense to me because when they're underdogs, who they playing, guys? Ohio State, Michigan. They're playing good teams who Franklin cannot beat. This is no shock that they're 0-9 as underdogs.
Hey, Sean, let me take this back one game and a little bit more follow up on what Victor mentioned about the Raiders contest here and the fact that they lost the game but won over by 100 yards in the game. There's an overabundance of those matchups on this week's college football or NFL football card, unlike what I've never seen before. You've got 8 teams, 8, that are playing in games where they either won a game and got beat by 100 yards or they lost a game and won by 100 yards. Mm-hmm. There's a huge amount of those.
Right, like the Minnesota-Arizona game last week, in which that was Mark's 5-star game of the month on the Cardinals, who were beating the Vikings for 59 freaking minutes in the game and ended up losing, but still covering. Nice call. But that's one of those games, Mark.
That's exactly one of those games. And a spinoff of the Vikings game, you bring in here this week the Atlanta Falcons, who did this just the same. They got beat, but won by over 100 yards. You have a collision of those two in the same game. That's a plus 100 to the dog here, minus 100 to the favorite. And those are real nice statistical plays. This all comes from our midweek alert football newsletter, our stat newsletter. And that's great stuff when you find things just like this. What you've got in this Atlanta football game this particular week, you've got it in the Vegas game. In fact, this is 2 weeks in a row now that Vegas has lost football games but won the yards in both contests, which tells me they're far from throwing the white flag up, this Raider football team. They're playing still some pretty good football here. So look deep down into the stats on this week's football card in the NFL. You'll be surprised at what you find the way these teams are coming into these games.
I guess should I be happy that I have the Falcons plus 5 in this game?
You should be you should be thrilled you have the Falcons plus 5 in this game.
Plus 5, right?
Yes.
Because I was like, you know what? I had the Falcons last week thinking I'm off a bye week. I got embarrassed in Denver. I got the Chargers off back-to-back primetime games, a win, Kansas City on deck, who should get nice and big win here. And then I'll be going on the road to Minnesota, who's going to be in a dogfight, could possibly lose. I got Cousins. We're coming home. We're going to show you. And then he throws 4 interceptions. I'm like, good grief. Good grief. My 5 is going to be 10 because I'm going to have Penix starting after a game like that. What a terrible. Right? That was as soon as I saw him, I was like, you got to be kidding me. I don't even know if the 5 is going to be good. I thought for sure Penix would be getting a start this week.
Well, I hope Atlanta doesn't lose this game on the scoreboard because they'll slip to under 500, and that might be what they might feel might be the opportune time to unveil Michael Penix. And I think that would be a huge mistake for Atlanta because they're still in a playoff chase here, and Kirk Cousins gives them the best chance to do just that, to make a playoff spot.
Right. Now, he may struggle, and he has in his career, in indoor games. But on the flip side, Sam Darnold, as a field goal favorite or more in his career, has not done well either. So they kind of cancel each other out.
Yes, they do. Yes.
That's weird to say Cousins is not good as an indoor dome guy when he played in Minnesota.
I know.
Well, that's where he took all the heat, Sean. Remember, he couldn't win. Well, a lot of that was because he couldn't win at home in those dome games.
Yes.
So it's all part of the
over the last 5 seasons, he's 16-30 ATS playing indoors, including 7-16 over the last 3 seasons. Cousins.
Yes, not good.
A lot of that is probably the prime time debacles.
Right, the primetime games and the fact that Minnesota may have won some of those games, but not covered the spread.
Yeah. because he's up there with the big names with those touchdowns over the last few years. He's had 100 touchdowns with your Mahomes and whoever else you want to throw up there. You think there's a good quarterback. His stats are there.
He doesn't lose 3 games in a row very often either. Here does Cousins. In fact, of back-to-back losses in his career, he's 18-9 straight up into the spread. So you're going to dress him up as a dog in this particular role. And in that same role, when the opponent's off a straight up and point spread cover, he's never lost the money. He's a perfect 6-0 to the spread. Cousins is.
There you go. My game today, talking about teams looking for the playoffs. I came on here. I was like, hey, what do you think about the Jets? You know, they got a favorable second half schedule here against some losing teams. Mark, you think both of you are like, heck no. You're absolutely right. Miami should have been a team because Tua's come back. They've reeled off some wins. I think they have one winning team left on their schedule, the Texans, who are by any great means playing great football right now. They are a 5.5-point favorite here over the New York Jets. Total of 45. I mean, the Jets fired a coach. They thought he's the problem. He's not the problem. Another tough loss. The Jets. We could talk about the Bears being bad, finding ways to lose. The Raiders having a tough season. The Jets 1-8 straight up, and ATS their last 9 or something like this.
Yes.
And this is all. I will lay 5.5, and it's. I'm shocked it's 5.5. I don't know why I came down from 6.5 because I got it at a 6.5. It's come down. I still don't care. Why are you betting? And a lot of times I'd be like, oh, that looks too easy. Take Miami plus a touchdown. Tua behind center, 34-34, 23-30, 28 points, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception since he's come back. And yet they're not even favored by a touchdown here over the Jets. Is it because the Jets lose close games? I can't bet the Jets. They were favored again last week. They've been favored and they can't win a game.
I know they've been favored. This is weird. They've been favored in 7 games in a row, the Jets, prior to this week.
Listen, in August, because I'll print out the schedule for the year, look at the numbers. They're favored in 14 of their games, which you expected. Rodgers has his coordinator, rebuilt offensive line. You got plenty of playmakers on offense, and it's the defense. They're going to finally show up because they hated Zach Wilson, apparently. Well,
hey, this team does not need a psychiatrist, okay? They don't need to go to a shrink and figure out what's going wrong or what's not right with this New York Jet football team. All they need to do is look in the mirror. They've lost outright 6 times as a favorite this year. 6 straight-up favorite losses. That's ridiculous. That's the reason we're talking about the last place New York Jets.
That's the reason I'm taking Miami. It's minus 5.5. I don't care. I'll reverse this up to like a 10. I think Miami wins this one.
This is 30. A Miami wheelhouse game. The last time we talked about a game like this was when they hosted the Raiders a couple of weeks ago and made the Raiders their bitches and absolutely destroyed them. The Dolphins. Again, this is their wheelhouse. That favorite at home against lousy teams. Yes, we agree. Miami sucks against winning teams. 1-9 ATS last 2 years against better than 500 opponents. But they're 14-5 now. Last 19 against 500 or less teams. Tua's 12-4, 75% against the spread as a favorite of 5 or more. This is their wheelhouse. This is what Miami does. We beat the crap out of the bad teams. We struggle against the good teams. It's pretty much a no-brainer. And it's a decent line, like you say. 5 and anything under 7 is a great line.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's less than 7. I really, truly am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. It's like I do not understand how this is so low with this game. I took it. Like I said, I got a bad number. I thought it would go up because I thought the Jets were going to lose. It would get higher. Like they'd say Rodgers because they talked about putting him on the injured list. I figured he's going to be out. But that would have changed my whole capping of the game though. When they do stuff like that changes the entire complexion of the game. I know what you guys think about that. If they pull a quarterback, I'm not going to be on that game. I'll probably take the team that changes the quarterback before I take the team that's going to be favored over the quarterback change.
Yeah, there is usually in that first game some type of a psychological quarterback boost or bump. You're right.
We saw it. We saw with Carolina. Yeah. Bryce Young got benched. They come in on the road. They beat the Raiders.
Right.
They got a 40 spot. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But I haven't seen anything remotely like that. So they're still going to ride this guy out for whatever reason, and which is good for me and my bet. But officially for the show, Miami minus 5.5. Mark, Rams plus 3.5. Victor over 46.5. Now, normally we have a boatload of comments. There are none. And I'm like, are we not streaming somewhere? But there's people watching on the YouTube channel. But we only had the one Penn State comment, guys. So a lot of times to go an hour. We're not going to make an hour today. Unless,
we could easily run through. We could easily run through some of the NFL games too, guys, that we have not covered as of yet.
Sure.
Like the stinky game of the week is probably the Saints and the Giants, the New York Giants, right?
The big ugly dog, Victor. The big
Saints
ugly dog.
Points on the road. The Giants 7-game ATS losing streak. It's their longest ATS losing streak as a franchise in the Super Bowl era. The Giants.
The Giants are to play here, right? I like the Giants.
With that said, Derek Carr struggles in cold weather. 1-5 ATS as a favorite in 45 degrees or less. Not only that, but just as a road favorite, period. Derek Carr is one of the worst play-on quarterbacks in the NFL. 1-14 against the spread. Last 16, 1-14-1, ATS. Last 16 as a road favorite, Derek Carr. There's probably better games to bet, but you definitely got a couple of things working against each other in this crappy NFC game.
You got Drew Lock here for the Giants, too, who doesn't get a lot of cred. Has been hanging around with quite a few football teams. But if he does one thing well, it's this role that he's in here this particular week. And that's when he's been the quarterback, he started and his team is coming off a loss. He's done that 7 times. He's won 5 of those games straight up and cashed all 7 times.
And again, I'll go to simple handicap on this game. I got a dome team in December in North Jersey. Like, I don't want dome teams playing outside in general, right? Now you get elements possible, cold, just a whole different animal for them, and they're favored to boot. I thought, even with Drew Brees, I'm not running to bet them. Back in the day, you wouldn't do that. It was just, here, I'm going to take the 5. I have it. I'm going to, though.
I think you have to. You're putting in uncharacteristic roles. Take a look at what Miami did up against Buffalo. I mean, obviously we all know it's pretty well known how poorly they play in cold weather. And I read somewhere, I think I put this in our coffee club, that they missed an inordinate amount of tackles in that Buffalo football game. An inordinate amount, like the most of any team in the NFL this year. So you're putting teams in roles that they're not accustomed to, especially physically. They are not able to perform. And I'm just wondering, Victor, down the road for Miami, when they leave home again in the cold weather site, what will happen when they go up to Cleveland, which is Cleveland and Buffalo are twin cities when it comes to weather.
Definitely. That's going to be a difficult one for the Dolphins, right?
Yes, it will.
December 29th, not an easy one. Close out at Cleveland and then at the Jets, too.
Nope.
Right.
So.
And speaking about Cleveland, why don't we answer Gavin's question here about the Steelers-Browns game, huh?
So we got a 6.5-point spread on this one here. I like the Browns. I like Winston. Call me crazy. He's just out there loving God, loving life. He's just, hey, I'm going to do what I can, and that's that. And you know what he's going to do. He's going to throw touchdowns. He's going to throw interceptions. But the players like him. The team scores points around them. That doesn't mean they're going to win, but they're going to be in it. They beat these guys before. Nothing better than them for their Super Bowl here, because where are they going, than to knock off the Steelers twice in the season. And again, we have Tomlin as a fave. We like him as more. I know most people like him more as a dog than as a favorite here, but
the other side of this, I say the other side of this, Cleveland is one of those teams that lost the game, but won by over 150 yards in the contest.
Yeah.
Now they're going to dog up to a team that's coming off a very satisfying win, if you will. I'm going to look at with you. I'm going to look at Cleveland in this football game here. It's still Pittsburgh, and Cleveland will get up for Pittsburgh. And I'm feeling a whole lot more better, Victor. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a whole lot better about the Browns when I see Jameis Winston behind center than I did either Deshaun Watson or either other backups.
I agree. He's going to keep you in every single game. And if you can find a 7 in this game, I would be all over it. That Browns plus 7. This is a division, and we haven't even talked about this, but this is a division, the AFC North, in which the road dogs have covered at a very, very high percentage over the last 4 or 5 years. Not only that, but I got something that's hot just over the last 12 months. Division of home favorites of 4 or more when playing off a win, like the Steelers. 3-16 ATS in the last 12 months of play. To round it all out, Sean, you touched on it. The Steelers, we love betting the Steelers when they're a dog, right? We love betting the Steelers when they're a short favorite, maybe 3 points or less. But as big favorites now of 5 or more points, they've gone 1-9 against the spread since the 2020 season. They can't handle the big numbers.
You throw that into Kevin Stefanski's DNA, his best role is as an underdog when the Browns are coming off a loss. He's in that role. He's 11-4-1 to the spread, taking points. So there's a lot of boxes that Cleveland checks in this football game here. And with Russell Wilson coming off of what may have been his best performance of the football season, I don't know if he's got 2 good performances in a row in him. I'm still not sold on Russell Wilson. I just think I'm sort of like so anti his personality. It's very, very difficult for me to wrap my arms around him and the narcissistic type quarterback that he happens to be. But there's a lot of checkbox, like I say, that Cleveland checks off in this football game.
Now, they have not won in Pittsburgh in 20 consecutive regular season games. Here's the weird thing. The one game they have won in Pittsburgh in the last 20 years was a road playoff game.
Yeah.
Right, remember that?
Yep, exactly.
So you're saying we got a chance here?
We had Baker had his one great postseason game.
Yes.
What do you guys think of? Here's another kind of ugly one: the Jags and the Titans. The Titans were a 5.
I think they should cancel the game, Sean. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Come on, let's go Jaguars. I got the Jags here. How's Tennessee favored by anything here? How? You're speechless. Exactly. How they can't be favored. So you take Jacksonville. You can't even come out with a word.
Well, the last 7 times they've been a division home favorite, they've rung the register 1 time. And they're not any better now than they were then. So I kind of agree with you. I'd have to take the points with Jacksonville if I looked here.
Yep.
Let's see what else. What was the Chiefs? We got Chiefs Chargers Sunday night. Chargers off of a gift win. Kansas City off of a gift win as well. Are we ever going to see a good a good Kansas City game this year? Are we just waiting for them to get to the playoffs before they show up? How can they be 11-1 and not play a good game yet? They haven't played a good game.
It's absolutely mind-blowing what they're doing here. They're defying all logic is what they're doing here, and they're defying physics and everything else. They get pushed around the field. They win games by the smallest of margins. They get miraculous finishes. Blocked field goal with no time left, a blocked chip shot field goal with no time left. Everything just keeps falling their way. Eventually, it's not going to fall their way. I have this sneaky gut feeling that for as poorly as they're playing, and they have the worst point differential. If you take a look at them, they're only plus 54 net points in point differential,
and they're 11-1. Yeah,
and they're 11-1. My goodness. But when they make it to the Super Bowl in that championship game, watch what happens. They'll probably win by 18,
Right? It's bizarre. And here,
yes,
they're 4.5-point favorites. 4.5, they don't.
Right, and they've lost 6 games in a row against the spread already. The Chiefs enter this game on a 6-game ATS losing streak. When we did our Marc Lawrence podcast the other day on Wednesday, I mentioned some reasons that you should consider the Chargers on the money line this week. But I much preferred actually betting the Chargers to still win the AFC West division at 16-1 odds, and the reasons behind that. With that said, though, not only is KC on this massive ATS losing streak, but Mahomes has struggled in division games in his career. This season against AFC West fellow division opponents, he's 0-3-1 ATS. He's 4-10-1 ATS over the last 3 seasons. That mark is the worst for any quarterback in the NFL over that span.
How
horrible! And it's not like it's not like Joe Burrow where he's playing great, putting up super numbers, and the team is performing poorly. Patrick Mahomes is not playing good football.
No.
So there's a reason behind the rhyme there, and it's Patrick Mahomes is not helping this football team.
So you said when did you say to take a 16-1 last week?
We did a podcast a couple of days ago, and I recommended to people who were considering playing the Chargers on the money line this week at plus 170. I said, instead of that, if you want to really try for some big money, try the Chargers to win the AFC West at 15-1 or 16-1 odds. I don't know what they are today, but when I bet them on Monday morning, they were 16-1.
Yeah, look at it like this: that if you like them to maybe on a money line in the football game and you didn't do it, and you instead played them on a 16-1 longer price, you've at least got your first leg of that in if they do win the football game. So you can't be disappointed if you didn't bet the money line in the Chargers, as long as you have them in the future.
With their upcoming schedule, I just think that the Chiefs got a couple of losses in them in their upcoming schedule.
So they got the Chargers here at Cleveland. They're 6-point favorites at Cleveland. I'll be taking Cleveland there. I think I already bet Cleveland for next week. I took them plus 6.5. I took Cleveland right for next week.
Good for you.
Home versus Houston. At Pittsburgh on Christmas. Short week because they got Houston, I guess, on a Saturday. That's the 21st and 25th on Christmas. January 5th at Denver.
Right.
So
they closed the season with back-to-back difficult road games. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Denver's not going to be a gimme by any chance, any stretch of the game.
And they'll be fighting for their playoff lives in that game as well, the Broncos.
Yes, they will.
But you need 4 losses here, though. You need them to really kind of lose the whole way out.
I think we can get 3.
Chargers. Well, I'd be shocked if they lose to Denver, Pitt, Chargers. I wouldn't be shocked if they lost to Cleveland. So I can see them losing. I mean, the Houston one, again, that Texan team, they were this year's flavor of the month, but 8-5, they haven't really looked all that great. They're kind of like an up-down team. I really can't get a handle on how they are.
Right.
But I got John's popping in. Carolina staying in the game with Philly. Here's another one. 13 points. I took Carolina because Philly's got the Steelers next week. So I'm like, you know what? Carolina's been feisty. I'll take 2 touchdowns, basically.
Feisty's right, man. Bryce Young, man, since being inserted again the second time as the starting quarterback, you got to love what he's been doing. And it's a feel-good story for Bryce Young as well. You know, double-digit favorites. They started this season very, very well, 5-0 ATS. But in the last 3 weeks, double-digit favorites have gone 0-4 ATS. So things are coming back down and leading more toward the long dogs like Carolina. Not only that, but Philadelphia is a bad big favorite.
Yes, they are.
1-9 ATS last 3 years as favorites of 6 or more points to Eagles. Very similar to their in-state rivals, the Steelers. Great underdog, great short favorite, but laying the big lumber. No, the Eagles can't handle the big numbers.
After winning and losing by over 100 yards, they're another one of these teams that check those boxes, of which there are galore, a ton of them this particular week.
I'm going to say this is not a statement game because they're pretty good. They're just behind Detroit for the home field or whatever. But if they come in and win this one 34-17, I'd be like, all right, you know what? I'll give them a little more credit. They beat up a team, right? They're double-digit favorites, almost 2 touchdowns. Can they win by 17 to 24 points, which I think if you're going to lay 12-13, your team better win by 20. Or that back door is going to come biting you and hit you in the butt when it closes on you. If they win by 20, maybe I'll upgrade them a little bit here. But I don't think they're going to do it. I like Carolina in the points. I like Carolina.
And Philadelphia has a habit, like Victor says, that 1-9 number of laying big points. All that says is they definitely play down to the level of opposition. They'll get up for the big games and they'll play down to the bad teams. And that's exactly what you've got in the makeup of this game.
And you may have something there in that in-state look ahead for next week, too.
Yes.
A little bigger game.
You think?
Monday night, Bengals, Cowboys. Talk me off of taking Dallas plus 5.5 here. Why does it look so easy just to take Cincy because Burrow's going to drop a 35 spot on these guys?
I can't lay the points with Cincinnati. My God. I think we called this out in our coffee club, Victor. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I did. But just to show you how poorly Cincinnati has played this year, 4 times they've lost football games in which they scored more than 32 points. In Tom Brady's career, he lost 4 games when his team scored more than 32 points. His career, and the Bengals have done that just this year alone.
That's good numbers.
Yeah.
44-38 loser, 35-34 loser. I mean, 41-38 loser, 38-33 loser. They even scored 25 points and lose a game. Oh,
It's the Monday night game, guys. We can't bury the lead when it comes to Monday night games. 75% over the total this year. That's
Wow.
Monday night football games. Now, with what happened on Monday night between the Browns and the Broncos, 952 offensive yards, 73 points. Monday night games now, excuse me, on the season. I got them here somewhere. Here we are. 12-4 over under, 75%, 51.6 points per game. That's Monday night. It's the best year for Monday night overs now, and we're going back about 14, 15 seasons. With that said, I think that the best over aspect of this game is the first half over again between the Cowboys and Bengals. You got a line somewhere around 24, maybe 24 and a half. Again, we mentioned how high scoring Monday games have been, but as far as the first half goes, Dallas went 12-4 to the over in their first half games last year, including 7-1 at home, and have gone, let me see here, 7-5 thus far this season, but 5-1 to the over, again, at home. Like that game last week on Thanksgiving that went over in the first half against the New York Giants. So you can easily mark down Jerry's World as one of our favorite first half over the total stadiums. And on the flip side, Bengal OU results have been almost as promising. They went 12-5 to the over in the first half of their games last season, including 7-1 on the road. And while they've gone like a pedestrian 7-5 this year, we do note that their last 4 games over the last month of play, Bengal games in the first half have averaged 31.5 points per game. I think that's the better of the two, is considering that first half over between these two teams.
Well, the good news here for Cincinnati is this. If they win this football game, which they're expected to do, obviously they're the favorite in the contest, they will double their chances of making the postseason. They'll increase to 6%. They're at 3% right now, which means it's not a whole lot of ray of hope for Cincinnati, but they're only a 3% chance right now at 4-8 to make the postseason here. You have to wonder at what point in the season here do the Cincinnati Bengal football players throw up the white flag, the white towel. I know Joe Burrow won't, but you have to wonder about the other players in this team.
I'd say the defense has already thrown in the towel, no? Hasn't even picked it up yet.
Yeah, right.
Have they put on the uniform yet or throw in the towel? They haven't used the towel yet. They haven't busted the sweats yet.
The defense is playing like it's flag football. Yes.
12-4 Monday night total, 75%. I'm shocked. I'm shocked the public is having a winning NFL season. Color me shocked on that one. Color me shocked that DraftKings had to reevaluate to $1 billion their earnings in October with the favorites rolling. Who would have guessed that? All right, listen. We're gonna wrap this up. Hit the like button. Let's recap this though. Free picks. These are free picks. You want our premium stuff. Victor has a 3-pack up at gamblersworld.net. Mark has college and NFL football up at gamblersworld.net. I got college football for today, tomorrow, and NFL Sunday. Packages already posted. You can get the NFL season pass for $199. You can get the college football bonanza Friday and Saturday for $79.99. You can get a day pass for $69.99. You get a 3, 7, or 30-day pass. A 3-day pass on a weekend like this is what it was made for. Maybe Thanksgiving weekend too, but and if we don't show profit, you get credit back on those 3, 7, and 30-day passes. So head to gamblersworld.net, support your cappers here. Any one of us, anybody else, we got 13 pretty good guys on the site. Support the show, hit the like button. Today's picks, 25 and 15. We're going to add to that. Yeah, Rams plus 3.5. Victor likes the over. Raiders 46.5 versus Tampa Bay. I'm taking Miami in a rout. It's 5.5. I'd lay 14.5. I don't care. I think the Jets are toast. Miami for me here, minus the 5.5. Gentlemen, good seeing you. I know we weren't here last week, but, we're back, folks, and we'll be here for the next couple weeks of NFL and bowl games. We'll be talking about probably Not much comments today, but usually have them. But Victor, Mark, thanks for popping in with me today. Have a good
Sean, be
weekend.
well. Take care of that cold, and we'll catch you next Friday.
Yeah,
Okay?
Sean.
Yeah. Thanks, fellas.
All right. Be well, guys.